Well, good morning, everyone. Good to see a bunch of you on this morning. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. I'm down at my studio, usually where I do our mentoring nights from. So hopefully everything's dialed in and working. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm pretty sure everything's okay. Let me know if the audio is working fine. I can see it working fine as we're rolling along. So yeah, good to see all of you guys this morning. Morning, Luke. Morning, Alison. Morning, Sabot. Donna, Joseph, Gemma, Alison, Michael. Good to see all of you guys. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat show. Hope you're all awesome and well. As things get a little warmed up, I might just do the quick intros. Most of you guys know who I am, but if you're new, if you're dropping by and you're saying hello for the first time, let us know in the chat where you're dialing in from. Where are you in this wonderful world, this wonderful country, coming in and listening into our Wealth Coffee Chat in the morning. Been doing this for a while, and over the last 20 plus years as a property investor and property investment coach, been helping Aussies and New Zealanders make some sense of what's going on. Joseph, he's got his coffee and he's all the way from Sydney. Good to see you, mate. Zooming into the live this morning. And, along the way, we've done a few things. You guys know, some of you do anyway, we've done many thousands of deals across Australia and New Zealand when it comes to property investing. And each day, we just maybe share a little bit of, pontifications, ideas, strategies, tactics, opinions when it comes to the world of property investing. So there you go. Hey, taxes. I'm going to talk a little bit about them this morning, and it's interesting. The Queensland government had a grotty little grab at, taking a bit of the dough from interstate investors by increasing land taxes, and the Premier has just come out and said, "No, that's it. We're not going to do that." Thankfully, I don't know. Did the Premier announce it, or did she throw her treasurer under the bus? Anyway, it's interesting, these politicians. Anyway, what is the largest expense we are exposed to? Ladies and gents, tell me. It's already on the board here. What's the largest expense we are exposed to other than our interest? That's an ongoing expense. It'll be pretty well forever. Boom tax is that thing. It's the number one expense that's either a fixed, not necessarily fixed, but it'll be around. For us as property investors, what taxes are we exposed to, folks? Excuse me, a little bit croaky this morning. What taxes are we exposed to? There's 4 taxes that we as property investors have some exposure to, that if we're smart, if we're clever, we can minimize them. Yep, for sure. So let's talk sort of in sequence. All right, income tax, as we're going along with our property, if we purchase something, stamp duty. Now, some people say, oh, it's a duty, it's not a tax. Anyway, get over yourself. It's a cost that happens, all right? So stamp duty, when we're exposed to these things. Capital gains tax, CGT. Well, let's do it in sequence, really. Land tax and CGT, capital gains tax, all right? So these are the costs. These are the things we have to, as property investors, negotiate and manage to minimize and reduce as we go forward, right? So we need to have a plan or an understanding of how we can manage those over time. It's vitally important you understand this, because really at the end of the day, wealth creation, or certainly property wealth creation, is the sum of how much you get to keep, not how much you make, all right? It's how much you get to keep, all right? And if we want to keep more, we have to reduce our expenses because we've got incomes coming in from our properties, from our jobs, our businesses, our careers. We want to manage that. Hey, let's just do a quick snapshot. I asked it in the headline or the intro of today's live Wealth Coffee Chat. Who pays the most tax? 3.6% of this population pay 31% of the taxes. All right, in this demographic. Anyone want to know? Anyone want to have a look at maybe having a guess what? Probably giving it away, to be honest. Yep. So let's have a quick look at. I saw a little article yesterday when it came to who pays what taxes in our tax system, and just keeping an eye on where are we as investors, and what are we going to do about this, right? So let's look at the bottom end of town. The earners that are sort of up to 90,000, and there are many people who are property investors who earn, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000. Many taxpayers in this range. Now, as a proportion of the tax paid, this is over here. This is the dollars, right? And this is the number in a percentage as a proportion of the tax paid in the world. Yep, people who work pretty hard for their money and they deserve every cent they get. Let's have a look. It's pretty interesting to have a look at this. And you go, okay, well, 41% of the population pay or create, let's call it 30% of the taxes in that 37 to 9. Well, it's 18,000 to 90,000. I think there's a small percentage down there. So interesting. So let's have a look at the next level of taxpayer in this sort of section here. So 90,000 to 180. So this is kind of like sort of certain brackets, right? Pretty chunky. 16% of the population pay 36% of the taxes. So this is pretty interesting when you think about, and the point I'm sort of making this morning is I've seen some conversation in and around the Labor Party trying to sort of roll back some tax cuts and stuff like that, right? So, they're going back on their election commitments. Fancy that. No, what knocked me over with a feather, Jason? The tax cuts that they got elected on and they promised that they wouldn't mess with, they're going to go back on. Yeah, I tell you what, if someone did that, if you bought a product, if you bought a car from a manufacturer and they said, yeah, no problem, here's my guarantee. There's a guarantee that, the thing's not going to break down. And then after you bought it, you were like, they were like, yeah, no, that guarantee, we're not going to do it anymore. What would happen? Tell me in the chat if you, in your job or your career or your business or your profession, if you had a commitment to a certain amount of quality, a certain delivery, what would happen if you went, yeah, I'll do that, and then afterwards you go, nah, I'm not going to do that anymore? What would happen? I mean, at the extreme, many professionals who basically lied and changed their mind would get in lots of trouble, right? Many people would lose their jobs. Like, it blows me away. Yeah, I'll call the ACCC. Exactly, Bob. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're not going to rate. Oh, mate, yeah, hello. Luke, hello to the NBN. You know what? How's that? Yeah, anyway, don't get me started on the NBN. Yeah, we pay all this money for the NBN, and you can just buy a 5G dongle now. My phone on 5G is faster than the NBN I can buy. Mind blowing, hey? Mind blowing. Anyway, there you go. Anyway, stay on track, Jason. Stay on track. Right. So, the Labor government's talking about changing taxes, and there's a little bit of a kind of a, I don't know, this. I'm not being political. I'm just this tall poppy. Rich people. Anyone who earns more money, they should pay more taxes. Rich people don't deserve this and that. Like there's this kind of like, anyway, it's a tall poppy thing in Australia. It's hideous, right? Hey Kate, who pays the most tax? Who pays the most tax as a percentage? Well, the 90,000. So this is mostly middle Australia. You think about it, and usually 90,000 to 80,000. Most families would end up in this kind of family income. This is middle Australia. This is where the most Aussies pay the most tax, right? Let's have a look at the top tax. Which way did I go? I was going the other way. Okay, there we go. And have a look at that. 3.6% of as number. Yep, that is true actually. Yeah, small business for sure. Small business. Yeah. Now the increase in super for everyone, which is great for the individuals. Nothing wrong with getting more money in your super. Andy Fenton, I love it. The increase in super from 9.5 to 10.5, from 10.5 to 12%. Tell me, folks, that in itself, when it comes to the world of business, is a tax on the business. It goes into people's super, which they don't necessarily get any direct benefit from, and most people's supers don't end up as large balances in the end anyway. So all it's doing is making super management companies quite wealthy, and for the most part, it's not necessarily benefiting anyone. Anyway, don't get me started on that, Fenton. All right, so here we go. A small percentage of the population paying large amounts of tax. That's the way it is right here, right now in our world of the Australian tax system, right? So what are we going to do about it? What will we do about it, ladies and gents? Well, this is what we can do about it, right? Over here, let's talk about a couple of these. Land tax. Let's do it in sequence. That's probably better. Income tax. What can we do as property investors? How do we produce or reduce our income tax as property investors? What's the number one tool here when it comes to reducing our taxes? I had a conversation with a couple yesterday, quite professional, earning quite a lot of money, they don't need to buy positive cash flow properties to replace their income. They're happy in their careers. They produce excellent income in their careers. So real estate has some tax deductions through a process called depreciation. So tell me, in the chat right now, deductions, absolutely, Bob. And deductions as a property investor, in the words of, or in the version of what we like to see is a non-cash loss, a paper loss for deductions, right? So there's two parts to real estate. Chuck it in the chat if you know what they are. Two pieces to real estate. One piece is the land. Okay, one piece is the land. The other piece is the building. The building. Two pieces to real estate. One piece is the land and the other piece is the building. By and large, once you have purchased the property, the land values tend to go up. So the land values increase, right? And then the building itself, because now the building starts to age, the dollars go up and the building itself, not the property, not the whole of the property, but the building itself depreciates. It goes down in dollars. And that's called depreciation. You actually don't lose actual cash, but on paper, you make a loss and you can offset your income tax. How do we do it? Put it in the chat. What's it called as a property investor? Certainly, as you, if you are a PAYG earner, right? It's called a PAYG variation. Now, if you're not doing your PAYG variation and you own real estate, you got rocks in your head. I'm telling you right now, okay? Because when you get that variation, yes, you apply the concept of negative gearing, Joseph, to your income as an individual, and you apply for a variation to your tax that you pay weekly, fortnightly, or monthly, and then you get that money back in your pocket, and you can do all sorts of awesome things with it. You can put it in your offset account. You can do all sorts of stuff, all right? So for us as property investors, this is vital. It's important, and it's a very excellent benefit in the early days of owning investment properties. Over here, we can use depreciation and a PAYG variation, all right? Stamp duty, how can we minimize stamp duty? We can buy the land and we can build, okay? That's one way. Instead of buying the whole property, you can split it into two pieces, you know, and for sometimes that's worth doing because you might pay 30 to 50% less stamp duty on your total investment. Land tax, how can we minimize land tax? Well, Queensland tried to change that, didn't they? Cheeky buggers, right? We can put our properties into different states because for the most part, well, yeah, anyway, land tax is state-based. Tell me in the chat right now, how can you pay zero land tax at this moment in time? Zero land tax, no land tax at all. Anyone know? How do we pay zero land tax? If we keep our properties under a threshold, there's a certain threshold, and it's on our land value. It's very misunderstood, this land tax thing. We've actually created a land tax calculator I'm going to release pretty soon, so stand by for that one. We have, we have a calculator that helps you calculate your land tax values based on your land value. Yeah. By different state, different entities, for sure, Gemma. Diversify property types, absolutely, Alison. Yeah, and you know what? You know how you can pay zero land tax? It's a bit of a running joke, actually. You buy in the Northern Territory because they don't have land tax in NT. But I wouldn't be buying in NT right now, so don't do that. And there's many ways you can minimise capital gains tax. I'm not going to, under the threshold, Gemma, that's for sure. So today, I'm not going to dive into the capital gains tax stuff, but you know, your principal place of residence, how long you own the property, who owns those properties, when you sell them, how you sell them, you know, all those sorts of things. We're never going to sell them, are we? So we never pay capital gains tax unless we sell. Those sorts of things. Well, there you go, Alison. Maybe it might be worth you buying something in the NT. You never know. All right, folks. Well, that's it. I'm done for today. Wealth Coffee Chat done and dusted. Interesting times afoot. There's some changes. The winds of change are already smiling favourably on us as property investors. The rate at interest rate rises has slowed, which is awesome. Looks like we'll probably it'll all be done and dusted by the end of the year, I reckon. Maybe early next year at the worst. That land tax malarkey and rubbish in Queensland is gone. So we don't have to worry about that. And to be honest, shiver me timbers. It's a fantastic time to purchase a piece of real estate, folks. There is some awesome things looking up on the future, on the horizon for us all. Lending never stops being tricky. Lending never stops being tricky. Nothing new. So if you can get the loan and it's part of your strategy, it's a great time to be involved. All right, that's it from me, folks. Wealth Coffee Chat done and dusted. You guys be awesome and well. Join me tomorrow for another one, around about this time, 8:10 Queensland, 9:10 Victoria and New South Wales, and the rest of you can work it out. All right, folks, good to see you. Take care. Be well. Remember, buy well, never sell. This thing's a marathon, not a sprint. Take care. Bye for now.